Can you guys believe it's already June? It's already June. Matt's in the house. Sheila's in the house. Welcome in, everybody. We have a interesting, great maybe topic. It can definitely be triggering for a lot of people. We will be talking about corn and how it affects us, how it affects our partner, how it affects relationships, and on all the in-between. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Amber McCrae. I'm a therapeutic nutritionist, connection coach. I help you learn how to connect to yourself and others through emotionally focused therapy, holistic nutrition, and a bunch of other awesome hippie somatic science shit. So welcome in. If that's your jam, we're so happy that you're here. We have a community on Discord. It's growing by the day. If you are looking for safe people where you can heal and grow and learn and connect, you have found that this is the place. We are here to encourage one another and learn and grow without judgment, because fuck that shit. We are done judging one another. Well, we're human, so we're always going to do it a little bit, but we're working on it, okay? Yes, love hippie somatic science, yes. Sassy, welcome in. So if you are interested, if any of this resonates and the people in the chat and anything that I say resonates with you, you want to connect more, head over to our Discord. Big Daddy, welcome in. Yes, Sassy. Tara's in the house. Tara's in the house. Welcome in. All right. So thank you for the gifts, guys. I appreciate you. Also, I am on a journey to help people create breakthroughs. 500 breakthroughs this year is my goal. So if you have not worked with me and you would like to have a one-on-one, I have a free 30-minute breakthrough call. That's also in my link tree, so check that out. Thank you for the follow, Sassy. I appreciate you. That's no cost to you. It's 30 minutes one-on-one time to help you reach your goals. Thank you for the gifts. And yeah. And if you are ready to, whether you've been on this healing adventure, whether you're just starting, it doesn't matter where the fuck you are, you're here. And that speaks volumes. Something I have said or something that somebody has told you has resonated. And we're so glad that you're here. If you're ready to bump that up and you want to work one-on-one, message me. I would say start with that free 30-minute breakthrough call. And we can see how I can help you either get through a blockage or just jumpstart your journey. So thank you for being here, you guys. Thank you for the shares. Yeah, let's just get started. So tonight we will be okay. Last thing. So from 4 to 5, I'll be live here talking about this topic. Every Monday we talk about a mental health topic, okay? Next week we'll be talking about grieving the living. That's our topic next week. From 5 to 6, 5 to 7, every Monday, right after this TikTok live, we hop over to Zoom for the Sacred Middle, which is a women's only group coaching session. Okay, there are only 7 spots available. There's 3 more spots available tonight. Okay, you can head up to my link tree to purchase your seat. This goes into, we talk about the topic we talk about tonight. We go much more in depth and we get to be able to be vulnerable with one another, connect. I share more of my experience from both my personal and professional experience. We just go much deeper, right? So if you're looking for women to learn and grow and connect with, that's your fucking place, okay? It's a place with where there isn't judgment, right? We're so tired of not being able to have relationships where we can trust people, right? Especially I don't know about for you guys, but as a woman growing up, I always had guy friends because I didn't trust other women for whatever reason. Lots of reasons, right? We could go into that. But I always had guy friends. And so making safe women connections has always been super tough. And if you have had betrayal from somebody close to you, a mother, a sister, a best friend, that shit fucks you up. And it makes so much sense why you wouldn't want to connect with other women. It's the jealousy and comparing and all of that is super tough. None of that. We're done with that shit. We're over that. We're ready to fix one another's crowns, bring one another up, learn to walk alongside one another in this sacred middle that we're in, because we're in the middle of the shit, y'all. And so let's just do it together. Men, we love you. If you are interested in having your own group, let me know. I would start that too. But I think it's so important that we have spaces for each group. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I talk better with my shoes off. So I have to kick off my shoes and sit crisscross applesauce. It's just how I roll. All right, so make sure to grab your seat. If you have any questions, let me know while we're live, but you can go purchase your seat for that sacred middle right now. Okay, let's jump into it. So, simple question. Your experience with corn. If you don't know what that is, we have to use words here on TikTok so that we can keep the live going, okay? So just replace that C as a gateway vegetable. Just G. Is it adult content, okay? And so I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I say that because when I first got on TikTok, I didn't know what the fuck that shit meant. So I'm just saying, that's not to make fun of. Sometimes we don't know what the substitute words are or whatever here on TikTok. There's so much lingo and all of that shit, okay? So there is no judgment. If you don't understand, ask questions. I fucking love questions, okay? So if you feel comfortable, let's just start off with your experience with corn. So if it was a positive experience, put a thumbs up. If it was a negative experience, put a thumbs down. Just cheese. So my personal experience with corn started negative. So mine's a thumbs down. I love this. I love the different perspectives. And y'all, I'm such a nerd. So when I was researching this from both sides, the science on both sides and the how and the why, and it's just fascinating. All right, so we have a mix. We have a mix of, for some people, corn was a good experience. For some, it was not. Some, it was mixed. Okay, got it. Yeah, Evan, welcome in. Everybody, welcome in. If you're new here, thanks for being here. And so, let me just check my notes. So my second question around corn is, was it something you chose? Did you choose it, or were you introduced to it by somebody else? So a 1, if you chose to research it on your own or look it up on your own. A 2, if somebody else introduced corn to you. So a 1, if you found it on your own. 2, if you were introduced to corn by somebody else. I know, right, Tara? My husband was talking about it, and he was like, man, we had to jump through hoops to find stuff. Now it's like one click. It's a little, it is terrifying. For me, because I have a different experience with it. I was introduced to it by somebody else. Right? You is like secret agent trying to find your parents' stuff. Right? It's like doom 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 doom. Before we get too far into this topic, I want to say that this topic can be extremely triggering. There's a lot of emotions that can come up around this topic. And for some, a lot of triggering trauma. Okay? What I want to say is that all of your feelings, whatever comes up for you, is valid. And we see you. And we understand if you need to leave this life. Okay? And I want to say, I'm proud of you if you leave. Because that's honoring yourself. Honoring, you know what? I'm not in the right space. I don't feel safe. If this doesn't feel good, I'm not gonna stay here. Okay? So I just want to give you that permission, even though you don't need it, and to say that I see you. To be completely honest, this topic is tough for me. Okay. Are we lagging? Well, he didn't hide it. There's so much. We could talk about this topic for hours. So some people hide it, some people don't. My ex-husband was, and my current husband was. Both, Sheila, also. So I do understand. Not on your end. Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. All right, copy that, Just G. We appreciate you. Have an amazing night. Okay, so, and I want to validate too that while we're talking about this, is that for some people with trauma around SA, this topic, corn, can be very confusing because some people are drawn to corn based on their traumatic experience and re-trauma loop themselves, so they'll watch things from their trauma. And this can be very subconscious, and they can have extremely mixed feelings about it. Okay? And so I just want to say that there's so much around this topic. So, Matt, would you say that what part do you think would be different in that culture? Is it more widely viewed as a good thing? Like, how would you differentiate the two? Like, my husband says it's just so common. He grew up with it just being a very common thing. Yeah, more accepted. Yeah. And expected, right? That's huge. I would say that's really, really huge. Expected. And so for me, I grew up super religious, and so my first introduction to corn was that it was from Satan. So that was my very first like introduction to it. I wasn't introduced to it at a young age. And so that was my first initial view of it. Now, there are so many sides of this, right? Because some people in here said that they looked it up. And I think that this is a really healthy part of our sexuality and figuring out ourselves. And I believe that we're in this culture of really shaming our sexuality and figuring out what that means for us, even as children. I think that we do our children a disservice when we initially shame the discovery of parts and what those feel like and what those look like, even to the names, right? Because what happens is, as a parent, if we don't understand what's happening to us, we just pass that down unintentionally to our children, right? Because we're trying to protect them from whatever we experience. Right, exactly, Tara. I believe this as well, pass down shame, 1,000%. And a lot of shame, there's research on so much shame is around sexuality. And a lot of that is around spirituality. Yes. Protect ourselves from our own shame and confusion, embarrassment. 1,000%. And I will protect ourselves from our own shame and confusion, embarrassment. 1,000%. And I will say, as a parent who has experienced shame around corn, as far as the opposite side of it being a negative thing, and the fear that it's going to rob my child of something, rob myself, my relationships, right? So that fear, it is extremely easy to be able to pass that down if I'm not careful. Thank goodness that I have amazing support. I have done a lot of work on myself and around shame and around this topic, and my husband and I are on the same page. And there's so many. I just read a book, or I listened to a book, The Shameless Parenting, which you guys, if you're not following It's Me, she is going to have many things to help us. And I know that she talks a lot about shame, and so thank you. I have amazing mods. So Tara, It's Me, and Holly, they are both coaches. I get to say that now with pure enthusiasm. They are both coaches, and Holly is a recovery coach, and Tara is helping women recovering trauma coach. So how fucking cool is that? Make sure that you're following them. Matt is a therapist for mostly dudes, yes. So we have amazing humans in here. So please, if you're looking for support, we have such an amazing community with so much help and so much support. So I don't even know what I was saying before that. I got sidetracked with excitement. Oh, shame. Yes. So I, as a child, was never really talked to about my body, like the way that it works, all of that, right? Not for a lack of love and care from my parents, but they had their own shit they didn't know how to process, and so that's just passed down, right? We do that. We pass it down. I know. I see you, Mom. I love you. And especially if you had a parent that went through a sexual trauma, that would make it even more tough for them to be able to process what you're going through in a healthy way if they hadn't healthily gone through theirs. Copy that, Matt. Thanks for hanging out. Does anybody have any questions? I just want to pause here. Does anybody have questions that are coming up for them, or anything that is popping up? Are they feeling some type of way about what we're talking about? I just want to do a check-in. Wendy, welcome in. And there's so many ways that we could veer off with this topic. Again, in the Sacred Middle from 5 to 7, we're going to go more in depth about the different routes and different things that we could talk about and veer off. But I want to make sure to answer any questions that people have now, before then. Michelle, welcome in. Okay, so also for a lot of people who did have SA, corn could have been a healthy outlet and a healthy experience for them, because it gave them agency and it gave them a safe outlet and a healthy experience for them, because it gave them agency and it gave them a safe place to explore themselves, and perhaps carry that over to a partnership. Kim, thank you for the follow. MJ, welcome in. Thank you for being here, you guys. We are talking about corn and the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that and in between. So if you have questions about it, throw it in the chat. Also, okay, well, I wanted to cover that really fast before we... Oh, that was... Hold on. Okay, so yeah, I talked about agency, right? So if you have had an unsafe experience with SA or anything like that, corn could have been a safe place to explore, to reconnect with your body and your sexuality. It could also like a desensitization, so that like a controlled exposure over time to in a safe way that is under your control, right? To be able to come back to a place where you might be able to have sexual interaction with another person easier. Does that make sense? And then I don't even know if I can say this on here. We might get kicked off, who knows. But if there has been SA, then corn could have been an outlet to where you could experience arousal for yourself in a safe way, and that you might not have been able to experience without that. So that is some of the I would say the ways that people with SA could experience corn in a positive way, right? Now, if you're not conscious about these things, it could reinforce a disassociation. Welcome in, Happily Estranged. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, a positive outlet. Definitely. Brought up. She searches for validation from. Oh, so like you're talking about so as corn as a validation? Is that what you mean? Thank you guys. Like a way to feel like. Could you explain that a little bit more? Could you explain that a little bit more? Oh, okay, yes. That makes sense. Now, it can also, so with, thank you for saying that, because corn can also connect. If there has been SA, there is a disconnect between, I know, it's so hard to like have a conversation about this topic. Jared, welcome in, because we have to be so careful about words. So if there has been SA, corn also can allow you to experience an O in safety and connect it with safe interaction, because if that has been connected to something unsafe with an SA experience, then being aroused or having an O can feel unsafe and be connected to something negative. So that also links to how corn could have helped in that situation. Are you guys following? Am I making sense? Are we on the same page? Ah, there's a fly. And I love, Holly, what I love is that you and your husband are doing what's right for the two of you. And this is an opportunity for me to just stop and say that each person, each couple need to figure out what feels right and safe for them. That's the most important fucking thing I can say about this topic. I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong. I'm saying figuring out what feels safe and right for both you and your partner. That's the most important thing. Okay, copy. I'm trying to keep up with myself. Okay. Now, this is the beautiful thing about hopping over to Zoom at 5 o'clock for the Sacred Middle, is that we can openly discuss this on Zoom without all these restrictions. So, I will say that. Okay, back to, I just want to cover this really fast, is that especially for people with SA, if you're not conscious about what's happening and you're not aware, it could reinforce a disconnect and a disassociation, especially if somebody is already disconnected from their body. Corn can deepen that split. Okay? So that is an O without embodied presence. Because my view is that sex and O is a very emotionally connecting thing, even especially for men and women. I truly believe that. Now we can have both without the emotional connection, but I believe that that's because we've been disconnected from self, which also disconnects us from one another. Welcome in, everybody. It can reinforce that trauma loop. So when survivors repeatedly view the content that mirrors their abuse, it may reinforce the nervous system trauma wiring, and it could continue to create that new neural pathway, deepen it. Okay. Also, shame spiral. Okay. So for that, we're just kind of going over SA really fast. So for those people that are feeling aroused by the content that mirrors the past harm, it can deepen shame and guilt and their view of self, and a lot of fucking confusion, especially if the survivor hasn't had their trauma processed in a safe way. I would venture to say that there has been a huge disconnect. I find that that's mostly with SA survivors. So that makes sense to me. If somebody, if you've experienced anything like that, or a lot of physical abuse in any way, that disconnect makes a lot of sense. Happily estranged. And I will say that it's extremely sad. I would say 1 in every 2 people, if not more, that I meet, that I talk to, that have experienced SA. Right, happily estranged, because it's kept you safe, right? It's kept you safe all of these years. I do understand that it is a protective mechanism. Are you saying dodging touch can be because of SA? I'm saying that it can, definitely. What I have found is that almost all SA survivors, especially if they have not had a safe person walking alongside them and process their trauma, like actively worked through that, touch in general is they don't crave it, and in fact it almost is a repulsion at most times, which makes so much sense. And I just want to say too, because I mean, super logically, if you have been physically harmed with touch in any way, most of those people have disassociated, disconnected from their body in order to survive. And so when they are touched, their body immediately goes back to that trauma. And most of the time, that's not even conscious. That is subconscious, which happens immediately, and your body says this is not safe, which makes so much fucking sense. I'm not saying that that's across the board, but I am saying that that is common. I have found the longer I'm healing, the larger my personal bubble has gotten. I would love to explore that, because depending on like what that means, I would say that I guess I would need more definition on what exactly that means, because I feel like we can also use our healing as a protective mechanism to avoid vulnerability, and people getting close to us, and subconsciously it's still a protective mechanism. It's hard when it comes from the person who is supposed to. Abso-fucking-lutely, Sassy. And this causes so much damage, not on just one level, on so many multiple levels. And so especially if there has been SA or physical abuse at all from somebody who, especially a caretaker or somebody that is close to you, like a family member, it doesn't just affect you on one level, it goes to the core of who you are. And so in processing and working through those traumas, you're not working on one area. It's not just, say, the SA. It's trust, it's vulnerability, it's connection, it's being connected to self. It's so many layers upon layers of what it's compounded. It's not just one thing that you're processing. And so for the people, welcome back, Kim. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you. And so for the people that had, didn't have a traumatic experience with corn growing up, and it was just a way to explore, there can still be some things to be aware of. What about being promiscuous? Many SAs go, yeah, and that makes so much sense, because when you have been SA'd, okay, especially from a caretaker, especially from somebody that you needed to teach you safety, your view of safety is now skewed and it's flip-flopped, right? So you have no sense of real safety, and the message that you're getting is that love and safety looks like this. Love and safety looks like this. This is how I get my needs met. Because as humans, we want to be touched. We want to, have connection. We want to be loved, needed, and seen. However we can get that need met, however we've experienced that need is getting met, we will continue to do that. So if that has been through sex, we're going to continue that. That makes so much sense. Yeah, Sassy, I grew up in church. My mom didn't really teach me that, but church definitely 1000% instilled that to me. And so I have this other side of, it's been extremely traumatic, right? And this caused a lot of confusion for me, especially for people who corn wasn't a negative thing, right? My husband and I've been working on this and dealing with this for many years, because he grew up where corn was extremely normal and part of his whole life. We'll talk more about that in the Sacred Middle, Sassy. I'm catching up, y'all. Ryan, welcome in. Yeah, our church taught it was damaging. Well, and that could be so confusing, right? There's so many mixed messages about it. And again, I just want to take a few moments and say, I feel like we can get really fixated on right or wrong. And really, it's about what feels right and safe for us and our partner. And in order to figure that out, we have to talk about it. We have to see how we feel about it. We have to ask questions about it, like why. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys talking to me about this topic too, because it's huge, right? And it's everywhere. Just G had mentioned, it is everywhere. And so it's not something that we can escape. So let's talk about it. And let's remove the shame from it one way or the other. And kind of how, if you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We have 10-15 more minutes before we hop into the Sacred Middle. There's a few spots left. So if you want to continue talking about this, if you want a seat for the Sacred Middle, go purchase your ticket now. There's still a few seats left. I forget where I was going with that. Let me check my notes. I forget what I was saying. Okay, so really fast, again, there's so many ways that we could go with this topic, right? But there's so many sides of it. There's a side that, you know, it's fine. It doesn't affect me. There's people where I grew up, so feeling somewhere along the line, I also got the mentality that if corn affected me, then that meant I was jealous and insecure. Okay, and see, that's a whole nother route. We're going to talk about that in the sacred middle too. I think the negative is paying attention more to that than your spouse. And I have so much I want to talk about this topic is because corn gives a dopamine hit larger than connection, okay? And so I'm just going to spit out a bunch of information really fast. Do you agree that you're insecure? So I think that there's a few things that are happening, okay? One is that it can be extremely confusing if corn is something secret and is kept, that is not talked about in a partnership, or like Sheila was saying, that corn is gone to more than your spouse. This is where you get into, it gets into communication, right? The secretiveness. So the secretiveness part, for me personally, because it was kept a secret, created confusion that perhaps I wasn't enough, which did create an insecurity because I didn't understand, right? And so there's so many different variables around this topic. So if you have a specific question, throw it in the chat. So I do think in that aspect, it created confusion on what was different. Was I missing something? Was I not enough? So yes, in one aspect, it did create an insecurity, right? Also, as a human, I have my own, I love my body. I've worked really, really hard to get to a place where I think that I'm beautiful, but I'm fucking human, right? So my legs are like an insecurity for me. And so whatever my own insecurity already was, it just heightened it. Right? And that's not necessarily corn's fault, right? That is just the story that I give it. And this is the big thing, right? Now, my personal opinion is that, unfortunately, corn is too much in our children. And I do really feel like it is not healthy for children. I do think it can be, I'm just going to say, I do personally feel if it's introduced to children under, I don't know, 18, everybody has their own views and that's okay. It changes the brain chemical and things like that. So I do feel like it is harming for children. I don't think that it should be catered towards children. I think that that is abuse if it is purposely catered towards children. I don't think that that's healthy. And I think, unfortunately, so many of our children are exposed to unrealistic, unhealthy views of themselves and what sex, I believe, is meant for, to be something beautiful. And however you want to use that as an adult, that is, separate. But I think that opportunity for them to discover it when their brain is ready to discover it is robbed of them. I mean, it's in cartoons. I am going to create a workshop for parents who are experiencing this with their children, and how to address it and how to address it for yourself, because I have an almost 13-year-old and we are going through it. I have a 23-year-old. I went through it with her, and I think that really removing the shame around it for ourselves and our children, whether they choose to watch it or not, is going to be the biggest thing that helps them have a healthy view of themselves and of sex in general and their sexuality. So, Lizzie, thank you for the follow. So we have about 5 more minutes. Oh no. We're all over the place. So thank you guys for following the craziness, because this topic is really huge and I'm trying to shove a bunch of information into less than an hour. So if anything is resonating, again, there are a few seats left for the Sacred Middle. We're going to continue this conversation over on Zoom so we can dive more into it. But where are my notes really fast? Come back. So it gives a dopamine hit. It's a flood, right? That's why it's a high. And then also, depending on, thank you, Happily Estranged, depending on your connection or your relationship with corn already, it can create a crash afterwards also. A habit versus addiction, that is a variable. The secrecy. So is it a secret, or is it something that you can be vulnerable with your partner, yourself? Even being able to be honest and vulnerable with yourself on how you feel and what you think about corn and how it affects you and your partnership and your relationship is huge, right? Alexandria, thank you for the follow. Heather, welcome in. So making sure it can be used as a protection from vulnerability with a human person, with our partner, right? So corn, it allows us to avoid vulnerability. So making sure that you're aware, am I turning to corn? Is my partner turning to corn instead of being emotionally vulnerable, right? There's no rejection in corn. There's no risk of being abandoned in corn. There's not enough. There's, not too much in corn. So it makes so much sense that a lot of people would turn to it. What would trust in our bodies feel like without the fear of triggering? Could you be more specific? What would trust in our bodies feel like? Yeah, corn can definitely make us feel safe. It can, and this is where being really aware. Is it making us feel safe because we're processing a traumatic experience and we're using it in a healthy way? Or is it preventing us from having to be vulnerable, avoiding rejection, avoiding abandonment in our partnership? So it's really about being aware of what is happening to us, right? Because again, safe, if we've gone through trauma, safe can be very confusing and we can have a skewed view of safety. Safety and uncomfortability are two different things. And if your body does not know the difference between unsafe and uncomfortable, it can confuse them and it can keep you stuck in these cycles that are not allowing you to move forward and heal. Okay, awesome. All right, we got a few minutes. So kind of like what I talked about, safety cues get confused. Bodies may respond, or you may shut down, right? So really understanding, getting curious about what is happening to you. What is happening to your body? When, where are you feeling things, right? And again, understanding. If you've never felt safety, I would say to really start there and understand what safe really means and feels like within your body. Thank you, Tara. So you can find the, if you purchase your ticket, your seat for the Sacred Middle, I will email you the link for the Sacred Middle. Thank you for being patient with me. Welcome in, Hales, with getting a good system for tonight down, for the Sacred Middle down. Finding a system for drop-ins and monthlies is a little confusing, so thank you for your patience. Hales, if you are interested, we're talking about corn. We're going to hop over to Zoom in just a moment and continue the conversation. You can grab your seat in my link tree. So also for people, it can be extremely confusing because it creates an unrealistic expectation of what sex can look like, can feel like, and what bodies can look and feel like. And so just being really aware of reality versus what is actually happening. Excuse me. And reality and production. And it's a very, very conscious thing to have to be able to understand and remind yourself that what you're experiencing on the screen is not reality. Oh, did you not get yours? Okay, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm actually just gonna post the link in the Sacred Middle Discord channel, okay? Because I don't think anybody else, yeah, I'm gonna do that really fast. Thank you guys for being patient. I appreciate you. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate you. Sherry, welcome in. Uh-oh. Oh, I have to do a puzzle. Okay, next week, so first, thank you for being here. Go grab your seat for the Sacred Middle. Wednesday, we have the Sacred Art Room here on TikTok, 4 to 6 p.m. We are going to do a little meditative activity and healing art session. No artistic ability needed. What the fuck soever. Just show up. Okay, 4 to 6 here on TikTok. If you want to be part of this community, you like what we're talking about, these people are fucking amazing, awesome people, you want to connect, head up to my link tree and become part of the Discord. Sassy, we would love to see you there. I see you're new here tonight, and we would love to see you over there if that's something that resonates. If not, it was awesome having you here tonight. And then next Monday, we will be talking about grieving the living. Okay, so Monday night, 4 to 5 here on TikTok, we're going to be talking about grieving grieving the living. And then again, the sacred middle, 5 to 7. You can grab your spot for that too. We'll be talking about grieving the living, okay? Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your support. You're fucking amazing. Shout out to my mods, recovery coach Holly and it's me, Tara. They are both coaches. Make sure that you're following them, connect with them. I appreciate you guys. Remember, fuck perfect. Have a good night. Bye. See you guys in the sacred middle in just a second.